Welcome to the Karlie and Brooke channel. This is Brooke and I recently published Empire, Glass and Stone, which is my debut fantasy novel. And I want to talk to you about the publishing process and everything that I learned about it, because I learned so much and there's so much to know. So when I was trying to figure out how to publish, I looked around at all of the videos out there, tried to research all of this different stuff, and there was nothing out there that was just comprehensive, that just listed all of the things that you need to know, because there's so much to know. So that's what I want to do with this video, is make it very comprehensive, just list out all of the things that you should know. And then what I want you to do when you're finished watching this video, please comment and let me know what you would like to hear more about, and I will make more videos. So what we're going to talk about today, we'll start with a mailing list. So when you publish a book, you really want to have a mailing list. And what I recommend doing is starting with a website and getting that mailing list up and ready. You can use MailChimp has a free option. There are also other platforms that you can use outside of MailChimp, and we can go over those, and I can make a separate video on that. But just having a mailing list ready and available is the first step. Your mailing list is going to be the people who are going to be the first ones to buy your book. And if somebody's going to give you their email, they're going to be a lot more interested in what you're going to provide them, right? Because when you sign up for mailing lists, you really aren't super excited to give your email out. You don't really want more emails, but you do give your email out to the people that you actually want emails from. So those are going to be your number one fans. So get a mailing list ready. I have a whole list of things, and I'm going to go over all of them. So if I reference my list a lot, I'm sorry. I just had so many things that I wanted to talk about. I don't want to lose track, and I want to do it in a certain order. So after the mailing list, we're going to talk about your freebie. So a lot of times, if you want people to sign up for your mailing list, a lot of times it's a good idea to have something to give them, something to offer them that will make them excited to sign up for your mailing list. So that can be for, I'm focusing mostly on fiction authors. For nonfiction, it's actually a little bit easier. But for fiction authors, I would recommend doing like a short story that you've written, or if you've written a backstory on one of your characters, that's an awesome thing to do. If you've written a prequel and you want to give that away for free, like all of these are excellent, and you really want to prioritize your mailing list and get people on it. So the most valuable content that you can give them without giving away a full book, the better. And some people do give away full books, and that's fine too if you're willing to do that. So after you have that freebie to entice people to get your mailing list, you get them on that mailing list. Make sure that you're sending them regular updates with information about what you're doing, maybe fun things, like make them feel like they're in the know. Make them feel like they're part of an exclusive club, so that they want to stay on your mailing list. Otherwise, they might forget who you are if you're not emailing them often enough. Make sure you're giving them something of value every time you're emailing them. And you're not just asking them to buy your books every time you email them, because they're not going to feel excited to be part of your mailing list if that's all they're there for. So make them feel like they're part of an exclusive club. So once you've done that and you have a book ready, then you're going to find the first thing that I would recommend that you do before you go looking for an editor, before you go looking for an interior designer, find a cover designer. So this was a mistake that I made. I waited around a while to get my cover, because I wanted my cover designer to be able to read my book and have it be in its most up-to-date version. Maybe because I wanted them to be impressed with my book. But it's really important at the very beginning that you have a cover, because all of these steps require a cover. When you get your interior design, you need your cover. When you get your draft, opened up on Amazon or on any other platform, you need your cover. So I would recommend getting your cover first. And what I would do with your cover once you have it is do a cover reveal, or even let your following pick your cover for you if you have a couple different options to choose from, because that gets them excited and invested in your book. And then once you have a cover, then you want to find your developmental editor. So your developmental editor is absolutely crucial. I love my developmental editor. My developmental editor, every time I send something to her, she always finds things to make it better. I would not publish any book without a developmental edit. Even as long as I have been writing, I still find it so valuable. So find a really good developmental editor, get that developmental edit done, find some beta readers after or before or both, and get some beta readers to look through your stuff. Make sure that you are not just changing things just because your beta reader said to change something. Make sure you're keeping your target audience in mind, and make sure you're keeping your style consistent. Your style is part of your brand. It's part of who you are. And if you change your style up too much, people are not going to know what to expect from you. So make sure that your style is consistent and on brand, and don't let your beta readers change that. A lot of new writers take a little bit too much from their beta readers. Make sure that you know the difference between what is good feedback and what is feedback that maybe you can ignore. We can talk about that in another video as well. So once you're done with the developmental and the beta reading process, then you want to find a line editor. And what I did is I found a line editor, and then who also is a content editor. So content edits would be finding anything in your story that maybe isn't consistent, names that are spelled one way and then another way. Maybe your world isn't quite matching up. A content edit would include that. What I did is I found a line editor who did both line edits and content edits. And then I found somebody who listened to the book and listened for maybe words that I use too much or words that might sound better. She also picked up on a lot of misspelled words or things that my line editor didn't pick up on, which I thought was cool. If you would like her information, I'd be happy to give it to you. Just message me or DM me and I can get that information to you. But whether it was worth it or not, I don't know. She costs about as much as my line editor, so if you're willing to pay double, then it might be worth it to you. If not, it's really up to you how clean you want your book to be. After I did my line editor, I then did a sensitivity reader. So a sensitivity reader I would recommend if you have BIPOC characters or you have LGBTQ characters and you are not, you're straight yourself, and you want to make sure that you've got everything consistent, that you're not using stereotypes, that you're not going to offend anyone. Because you always want your character cast to be diverse, right? But if you're like me and you're, a white, privileged female, and you don't understand those perspectives very well, sometimes it's good to have somebody look at your book and make sure that you're not going to offend anyone. Because in this day and age, it's important. So I would definitely recommend reaching out to sensitivity readers. I made a video on this a couple weeks ago that goes over sensitivity reads and what I had in my book, how I went about getting a sensitivity edit, and you can reference that. I'll link to it up in the video, and then you can go back and read that if you're interested. So then once you've had all the edits done and you've reached out for a sensitivity reader, if your book needs a sensitivity read, then finally I would reach out to an interior formatter, but do not reach out to your interior formatter until you are positive that everything is done. Otherwise, you'll do a little bit like what I did and have to go in and modify some things yourself, which is a lot more complicated than you want it to be and just not worth it. So at this point, you've got everything done. You've got your sensitivity read done. You've got your line edits. You've got your content edits. You've got your developmental edits. You are good to go. You've got your cover. You've got, you've got your dedication page. You've got your copyright page. You've got your map ready. You've got your author bio ready. You've got your acknowledgments ready, and any other information that you want in your book. I would recommend looking at other books and seeing what they have, and if there's anything that you want to take away from their books that you want to put in yours as well, or if there's anything missing that you think your book should have. And make sure that all of that's ready to send to your interior designer. So finding an interior designer, I would recommend asking your editor to see if they have one on staff. That's what I did, and it worked out for me. You can also look on Instagram, look at different hashtags for interior book design, something like that along those lines, and you'll find a lot of different interior designers that would be very willing to design the interior of your book. So the interior designer should give you a PDF for print and then an EPUB file for ebooks, and they'll also give you a Mobi file for Amazon. Amazon only accepts Mobi. If they give you an EPUB file, you can download a Kindle previewer and export a Mobi file yourself. So what really matters is the EPUB file. The EPUB file you'll use in a lot of different places, pretty much everywhere except Amazon. So once you've uploaded the file to Amazon, I would recommend testing on your different mobile devices and make sure that you like the way that it looks. Because if you don't, you might want to message your interior designer and say, hey, can you fix this? I would recommend fixing everything that you can find. Make them fix everything that you can find, because you doing it yourself is not a good idea. So once you have your EPUB file, look for sites like Book Sirens where you can upload the EPUB file and send it to people for free. That way you can you could send out advanced reader copies or ARCs to some of your followers who might be interested in your book, and you can get reviews out the door faster. You can also send it to other authors to see if maybe they'll give you an author endorsement. And the other thing that you can do with the ARC is just get a different, more of a readership, because sites like Book Sirens, they'll send your book out to their mailing list, and if somebody reads your book and they really like it, they might just find you on Instagram or subscribe to your mailing list, and that broadens your audience already before you even publish the book. You can also reach out to other accounts, bloggers, Instagrammers that feature books like yours. I would not recommend reaching out to people who don't feature books like yours. So make sure you research the people before you reach out to them. Maybe even follow their account for a little while before. Try and get to know them a little bit. Try and personalize your email as much as possible, and see if you can get them to respond to you and feature your book and leave you reviews. And you can send the link out to your book on Book Sirens, and it makes it really easy. And then you have people that are leaving you reviews and helping you release your book, and you reach more of an audience that way. So the next thing to know is the difference between a wide author and an Amazon Select author. So wide authors make their books available on every platform, including, Kobo, Smashwords. I have a whole list of, let me look really quick. Okay, so my book is available on Nook, iTunes Connect, Kobo, Smashwords, Google Play, and Apple Books. So Apple Books is the same as iTunes Connect, FYI. So you can have your book. There are platforms even more than that. If you want to upload your book to even more, you can find a whole list if you just Google it. But you can have your book available everywhere. And some authors do really well having their book available on multiple platforms. I plan personally on focusing on Amazon because they are the biggest retailer for books. If you do Amazon only, there are certain benefits that Amazon does if you're an Amazon Select or Amazon only author. They have countdown deals and different things that they do. If you make your book available only through them, they will promote your book more. And so there are benefits to that, but that's not to say that that's the best way to go. If you don't want your book just stuck to just Amazon, where you can't reach a broader audience, then maybe you want to be a wide author. But if you only care about Amazon, then Amazon Select might be the way to go. So having that figured out before you start publishing your book is a good idea, because if you publish or if you upload your book to different websites, you can't really go back and be an Amazon Select author. You can, but it's really hard. So the next step, once you've decided that you want to be an Amazon Select or a wide author, the next step would be to upload your book to all the different sites, get your tax documents set up, get your book uploaded, get your cover uploaded, get your payment stuff set up, and have your book up and available for pre-order. If you decide to release your book early, like I did, and is available for pre-order, they might not like that, and so you might have to mess around with the date. Sometimes it takes a few days to release once you've set it up for pre-order. So make sure that you set it for the right date. Also, you can't set your book up for pre-order and then decide to push it back a couple of months. So just make sure you're very happy about the date that you choose, because you can't really change it very easily. Also, heads up, don't press the publish button until you're ready for it to be published. There are things, especially on Amazon, there are things that you cannot change once you've hit publish, such as paper color and a few other things. I wanted to change my paper color for Empire of Glass and Stone to cream, and I couldn't do that because I had changed it to white and then accidentally hit publish because I didn't read the fine print. So yeah, don't publish it. Save it as a draft. Then you can order what are called art copies, and they're just in the, the 3-dot menu. You can hit the 3 dots and then hit order an art copy, and it'll send to you. It takes a couple weeks for them to print it and send it to you. For some reason, they don't care about getting it fast to you. So it takes a while. You have to account for that. So yeah, so make sure that you have it in draft. You keep it in draft until you are super happy with everything that you want, because some things you can't go back and change. And that's just for paperback. You do not have to have the paperback before the ebook. So if you don't want to do both at once, you can just release the ebook and then figure out the paperback later. But when you upload the paperback, there are a couple things that you want to have when you upload the paperback. You want to have your categories figured out and your metadata figured out. And we'll talk about that in a second. In addition to categories and metadata, you need to have an ISBN for your book. I mean, you can get around with not having one, but I highly recommend it because it makes your book look more professional and it helps people find your book outside of Amazon. Also, you can do a copyright. You can send your book out for copyright. I hear a lot of authors that get really nervous about their book being stolen, or maybe their beta readers taking their ideas because their ideas are so special. You can get your book copyrighted, and I did just because I wanted to try it. Costs like $35. I had to send them the document, and I think I had to approve a couple of things. It really wasn't a big deal. But I don't know how necessary it was, because let me show you my book. On this page of my book, it talks about copyright, and it says that copyright 2021 by Brooke. Even though my book is actually copyrighted, you can put this in your book and it's basically the same thing. So it's about as copyrighted as you need it to be, just by having this in your book. But you can do an official copyright, so that if somebody really does steal your idea and you're really that worried about it and you really want to take them to court, it might make your case easier. But it's still copyrighted just having that paragraph in your book. So you definitely want to have a copyright page in your book, whether your book is copyrighted or not, because it is your property and they'll recognize it as your property just by having that copyright in there. So categories, make sure that you can have up to 10 categories on Amazon, and you can have up to 10 categories for both the ebook and the print book, and you can have 10 categories in all of the other languages, such as German, English, British English. Like, you can have a bunch of they call them different marketplaces. So Amazon.com is the US Amazon marketplace. There's also Amazon.uk, I believe, and that's the UK marketplace. And you can do categories for each of those. And you can look at Amazon.com and see all the categories listed in the left. So when you drill down into the different categories, you can find different categories, and you want them to be as niche as possible so that you're not competing with a lot of other big books. If you can get really niche categories, you can get up on the Amazon bestsellers list a lot easier. So definitely recommend researching your categories. Try and find some really good categories and make sure you're getting as many categories in there as you can. For metadata, I would recommend finding good keywords that will help people find your book. Make sure that they are relevant to your book. If your book is a fantasy book, you don't want to put a nonfiction keyword in there, because people will find your book from that keyword. They'll read it, realize it's not what they're looking for, then they'll stop reading it and they won't recommend it, and people will gradually stop buying it. And because people are no longer buying it anymore, Amazon won't promote it anymore. And so then your book just tanks. So make sure that your keywords are relevant to your book. Put as many keywords as you can, and try not to use the same keyword over and over again. There's no point in doing that. Then you're going to want to pick a price for your book. I would recommend researching all the books out there that are similar to your book and find a good price that's about where it should be for your genre and for your age group. So when you're done with your ebook and you hit the publish button or, set for pre-order, that's a good feeling. But then when you're done with that, I would recommend making sure that you have a paperback, because the paperback, what it does is it gives your ebook the little red text that makes it look like, even when it's not on sale, that it's always on sale, because it's cheaper than your paperback, right? So having that paperback gives you, makes your book look better. It makes it look like you are a real author, and it gives that little red text that makes it look like your book is on sale or cheap, or your ebook. And so people are more likely to buy it. Ooh, one thing that I almost forgot, when you're uploading your ebook, or not your ebook, your paper book, make sure that you check the bleed option, especially if you're doing a fantasy map like I did. You're gonna want to use a PDF, and you're gonna want your map especially to go all the way to the edge. And because of that, you want to select bleed, because if you don't do that, it's gonna get mad at you, and it's not gonna let you upload your map. It's gonna want you to condense it down into like a little square on the page, rather than taking up the whole space. So now that you have your ebook and your paperback, when you release your book, it used to be that for pre-order, people would buy your books, and on your pre-order day when it gets released, those sales will all count for that one day. And that's awesome, because it will give you a ton of sales in that one day, will make your numbers look really good for that day, might help you hit that Amazon bestsellers list, and you'll feel super good about yourself. However, if you don't keep your sales up for the following days, your book will tank and Amazon won't promote it. So what you really want, pre-orders for new authors, such as myself, are not always the best thing because of that. Because if they have all their books and their sales in one day, and their sales drop off and Amazon stops promoting it, it's hard to recover from that. So pre-orders are really good for authors that have a whole series, and they have the first books written, and they're saying, hey, there's a new book, come go buy it. And then they hound their email lists after that, and they have a following already, and they can get more people to buy their books the days after that. So what you want when you release your book, you want to spread out your promotions so that your book sales, you want it to gradually increase each day over a 5-day period. And then after that 5-day period, you can jack up your price back to where you want it to be if you have it down for a sale when you first release it to get more people to buy it. You can jack up your price after that, and then Amazon will promote your book, and then you get all these sales at full price. So we're almost done now. The final thing that we're going to talk about are promotion sites. So book promotion sites were really exciting for me, because it was a way to schedule out promotions for my book so that my book sold a certain number of copies every day. Not that you can really calculate how many copies the book promotion sites will help you sell. But if you're able to look and see, okay, this promotion site's a little bit bigger, this promotion site's a little smaller, and kind of schedule them that way so that you can try and get as close as you can. I mean, you're not going to always be super accurate, but if you can get as close as you can to that 5 days, a subtle increase in sales, book promotion sites are a great way to do that. There's Fussy Librarian, ENT, Robin Reads are just a few, but you want to be really careful which sites you find, because you want to make sure that they're authentic, good sites, because if they're not, they're just going to take your money. So if you find valid ones, good ones, they are worth the money, because they're only like $35 or something like that. So not bad at all, and totally worth it in my opinion. I will check back with you next month to let you know how mine do. I don't know yet, because my book promotions haven't actually run yet. I released my book a month earlier than I had those scheduled out. Some of those you have to schedule 3 months in advance. Some of them you can only schedule a month in advance, so you kind of have to work around those timelines. That's it. Holy crap, right? That's a lot of information. So please comment with your ideas. Anything that you want to hear more about and you want me to make more videos on, please comment, let me know. Let me know if this is helpful to you, so that I know what content to create in the future, what content you like, what content is helpful to you. Like, subscribe, ring the bell if you want to hear when our next video is up, and I can't wait to talk to you again soon.